Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Drinks with the Drag Queen with our very special guest, Yuhua Hamasaki. My name is Rebecca Oxley. I am the librarian 3 at the Greenbelt branch, and my pronouns are she and they. So just to give Yuhua an introduction, her pronouns are she and her when in and out of drag, and you may know her when she made a splash on RuPaul's Drag Race season 10. It's everyone's favorite queen, Yuhua Hamasaki. Born in China and moved to New York City at the age of 7, the arts were her escape while living in a new world that was unfamiliar to her. So she's all grown up and blossomed now. She currently lives in New York City while continuing the art of drag and educating the world about the fascination of it all. Yuhua, welcome.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. How's everybody's Tuesday going? I'm so excited to be here and meeting all of your fabulous faces.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
We are thrilled to have you. Since we are an intimate group tonight, we do ask that you all remain muted when you're not talking, but we do welcome questions. You can absolutely throw them in the chat. We do have some other folks who are trickling in, so we will let them in one by one, but we have lots to talk about and unpack with Yuhua Hamasaki. So I'm going to get started. Yuhua, welcome.
Welcome. I thought you were going to say that since it's an intimate group, you ask everybody to wear their mask, even at home.
Oh, that's right. Well, we are at least 6 feet apart from each other, so I feel like we're good.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we know a little bit about your background. What was your path into the iconic New York City drag scene?
Oh, I've said this so many times, but you know what? I have fun telling the story because it's so much more different than it is now, because now there's just more youth support groups out there. There's more groups for people that are LGBTQ. I mean, something like this, doing collaboration with a library, that didn't happen when I was growing up. And doing something like this was very, very taboo. So the only way to be around that were people that were similar to me, who shared the same experience as me, is to be in an LGBTQ bar. Like, you know, this is something you do in the dark, very taboo, nobody can see it. And of course, the cops raided the bars, but not as much when I was going to them. So the only way, again, when I was able to get into the bars were to do drag. And that's how I got started.
That's fantastic. And I am a New York girl myself. I grew up on Long Island in the South Shore. And that was where baby queer me used to go to, check out the nightlife, was to go to New York City where everything was happening. So do you think that it's important for fans of drag to know their history, or rather their herstory?
I think it's important, right? That's why we have history in our classes, so that we know where we come from, where our ancestry comes from, and just learn a little bit more about past. And I think that with RuPaul's Drag Race, it's great, but we also have to understand that before RuPaul's Drag Race, there were many trans brothers and sisters, especially of color, that fought for our rights that we have currently today, and that they were the ones that started the movement for it all, so that we can be able to drag today.
I absolutely hard agree with that. Is there a part of drag history that you most connect with?
Is there a part of what?
Drag history that you connect with on a personal level?
I want to say especially, it's not specifically drag. I would say it was 2012 was when the Marriage Equality Act was passed. I remember I was performing that night in the West Village. And of course, the West Village was where the riot started, across the street from Stonewall. So I was performing at Boots and Saddle. I don't know if you remember, as being a New York little one, being there, but I just remember the streets going crazy at, I think, around 12 o'clock when the show just started for a little bit. And I remember walking out to the streets, people were chanting, people were excited, people were happy and crying with their flags out. And it was just something that I've never really seen before as someone who is queer. Again, this was almost a decade ago. You know, taking a subway wasn't even thought of. And walking around the streets in drag was something that you barely see. I mean, I can do that now, but again, 10 years ago, that was completely new.
Wow, that must have been such an amazing moment.
Oh, it was so powerful. I just graduated college. You know, I struggled and I faced a lot of loneliness and sadness in my years. and just seeing that, women hugging women, trans people being hugged by their brothers and sisters, guys hugging guys, and everybody was just excited and happy.
Thanks for sharing that vulnerable
Of
moment with
course.
us. I really appreciate that. So you were famously a contestant on season 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race. What was that experience like, and how did it affect your life?
It affected my life. I would say affected my life drastically, positively. It opened a lot of doors. Of course, there's RuPaul's Drag Race. Most people think that you go on there, you get a platform, but I think with anything you do, you have to have preparation, right? The skills, and of course, with a little bit of luck, you can make anything happen. It taught me to be myself a little bit more. It told me to be more patient. And of course, I think it just be more open-minded of other people out there. Of course, being from New York, I thought I was open-minded already. I thought that I was completely the SHIT, but just traveling to all corners of the world, you just see so much more people out there. You realize that you are not alone in this world, even though you live in New York City, right? And I think that we often think of ourselves as the best that we can possibly be at this moment that we are. For example, I think I'm amazing. I think I am open-minded. I think I'm the best drag queen in this moment. But in 10 years, when I look back to this moment in time and period, I'm like, girl, you're not the shit, girl. You can do so much better. So I think, Did somebody say something? I thought somebody said something.
Some people are joining in, and I think they were just getting themselves muted. Sorry about that, Yuhua.
Oh, okay. Oh, I recognize some faces and names in there. Hello, y'all. I think, Steve, you have your audio turned on. If you want to turn that off, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, it has taught me to do a lot of things. And of course, before Drag Race, I've often wanted to do film and videos and TV. And I think that's what has given me, because I auditioned for Drag Race because I was kind of getting sick of the bars. I hate to say it. No hate, no shade to anybody doing the bars. But for me, I've been doing it since I was 16, and I just wanted something new. And for me, it was like, it's like I've been in high school for 15 years. It's time to graduate and get out of high school. That's how I felt when I was performing in the bars. So I think that's how I feel. I mean, I still enjoy performing at the bars, but I think now every time I perform at a bar, I pick and choose, and it makes it more special for me,
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, you're an entertainer. You are a very well-rounded queen, and you have a lot to offer. So it's not a surprise to me that you have found so much success. It's only because of RuPaul's Drag Race that we heard about you if we weren't in New York City, but I'm glad that you were there so that we could start following your illustrious career.
Oh, thank you. Pop quiz, you might know this. Where's Britta Filter from?
Isn't she from New York City, Britta Filter?
Yes, she is. That's the joke.
Oh my God.
She says it like every episode at least 10 times. I'm from New York City.
That's right. Oh my God, that flew right past me. It's like, what's my name? Priyanka,
Yeah. Well, your hubby is nodding his head.
Yes,
you got the reference.
He's a super fan. He's a super fan.
Okay. You didn't get the reference. I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit nervous talking to somebody who I admire so much. So I'm just super
Don't be nervous, baby.
So excited that you could be here, bringing all this great information to our library customers and listeners. Are there any of your season 10 sisters that you're still close with?
I don't know. It was hard for me to connect with the queens from my season. I think also I, got sent home a little bit too early. So I never really had the bond that they shared, especially with top 3, top 4, top 5. I mean, they were together for a whole season. Meanwhile, I was there for 3 episodes. So the connection, it's harder for me, I would say. We do talk here and there, but it's not, I would say, the same as those that made it till the end.
Sure.
That's the truth. I wish I can say, yeah, we're great sisters, but you pick and choose in life. You surround yourself with people that love you for who you are. And I think that's what's special about being an adult. You don't have to listen to your parents anymore. You can just be who you are.
Absolutely. So just a quick question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Will we ever possibly see you on All Stars?
Answer. If you asked me right after the season, I would have said yes immediately. Now I think I'm in different points of my life. Like I said earlier, when you've done something, you know, when you've graduated college or high school, do you want to go back? You know what I mean? So I have to take a look at where I am financially, where I am mentally, where I am doing at that point to see if I actually want to do it, because it's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of work. You know, it's also a lot of burden financially as well, because when you go back, people really want to see a 180 of you. They don't want to see the same thing that you were pulling off during your season. So I want to go back and make a smart business move so that it opens even more doors. I don't want to just go back and waste this money and walk in and walk out. So I want to make it smart for myself.
Sure. I think that's great advice for any young queens who get to watch this, or just people who want to be in the entertainment business or be YouTube stars, is that, you know, sometimes the big fruit is not what you should be going after. Playing to your strengths, learning who you are, and just, you know, accepting and loving yourself is really the best way to go.
Of course, you know, what I can do, another queen can't do. What another queen can't do, I can't do. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, I think you did.
What
I kind of, I followed that. I know what that means. So
okay, what I can do, another queen can't do. Another queen can't do, I can do. So basically say what you can't do, Rebecca, I can't do. And what I can't do, you definitely cannot do. Okay, girl? Just kidding. Elizabeth is over there gagging. She's like, yes, queen.
I am gagging. Like, this is crazy. I'm so excited to see. I literally was just watching the season that you were on, so I'm so excited to be here. I'm sorry to jump in, but yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so we can all have our strengths and weaknesses. Just be you and play to your strengths, because stop following what other people are doing, because all our journeys are different, and whatever journey you have, it's meant for you. Just keep following that yellow brick road and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Well, it is Rue's favorite movie, right? Is Wizard of Oz, I think. She said
yes, it's from the Wizard of Oz.
But just speaking of Drag Race, before we close this little chapter of the book,
I was like, that's it.
Well, you know, honestly, I just feel like you were saying, Drag Race was just like a small stepping stone to the amazingness that you bring to your audiences all the time now. So I definitely don't want to spend a lot of time on that when there's so many other things that you have accomplished and put out into the world. But
definitely, I thought you meant like, oh, wrap it up for the whole Zoom thing, I thought.
Oh no, honey, we're keeping you.
Okay, I'll be here.
Thank you so much. We're thrilled to have you. But I'm excited that we're finally seeing the rise and recognition of non-binary and trans queens in the scene. What do you think has changed to make drag a more inclusive space?
I think just acceptance. That's number one. Realize that we're all in this together. You know, I did a recent video, if y'all want to check it out, on my IGTV on Instagram. I think it went viral. We got over 104,000 views on it. We talked about, should women do drag, because there's contestants on the current season of Drag Race UK who does drag, and most people thought that it was new. They didn't realize if that was accepting or not. And me and Davina DeCampo from season 1, we're talking about, well, it's just an art form, right? And if we try to exclude women from doing drag, or trans people from doing drag, it's the same thing as us gays being excluded from activities. So when you tell someone who's trans, a woman who's cisgender, you know, not a cisgender man, to do drag, you're like telling the same thing to a woman. You can't be a lawyer, you can't be president, you can't be a doctor. And it's also the same thing as telling a man, you can't be a dancer, you can't be a makeup artist, and you can't have equal rights. So why bother excluding people? It's just a job. It's just a hobby.
Right.
It's like telling little Ryan over here, little Ryan, you cannot collect stamps. Little Beth, you cannot play with that heartbeat thing that, you know, doctors do. What is that thing called?
The stethoscope? Is that what it's
Whatever
called?
it is. Yeah.
I don't,
you know what I mean?
I'm not a medical professional. So,
yeah.
But no, I absolutely. And I think we needed time for the gatekeepers of drag to kind of hear what the audiences were telling them. And just for anybody who's curious, the bio queen that Yuhua was mentioning is Victoria Scone, who sadly had to go home too quickly. But for all you aspiring bio queens out there, it can be done. I know Dragula also has like with the brothers, they also have bio queens on the show, which is really great. So now, as a gender fluid queen yourself, what have the gender expectations been like for you in the past when it comes to drag?
Oh, I went on a roller coaster. Like we were talking about before, about who can do drag, but you know what? Something I've learned, not till now, but like something I've learned over the past few years is that drag is for everyone. I can do drag, you can do drag, she can do drag. They can do drag, we can do drag, drag is for everyone. And most people don't realize this. When you woke up this morning, you actually did drag without even realizing. You were a blank canvas from that t-shirt that you wanted to pick to wear, from those shoes that you wanted to wear, from the way you wanted to do your hair with gel or hairspray or leave it messy. You were doing drag. And that's how us drag performers do, whether you're a drag king, drag queen, bio king, whatever it is, you were doing drag without realizing it. And there's no specific aesthetic you can go for or like a look you want to go for, because there's just so many ways to express yourself, right? So when I first started doing drag, I was told that you have to be campy and pageantry. That's what drag was. And over the years, I found myself a little bit more non-binary. And at a point that I thought that I can't disclose that information. And that was back in 2012. Was it 2012? Yeah, 2012 and 2011-ish. Because I thought that if I've never really shared this, so you're getting the exclusive. So I thought that if I continue to do drag, I wouldn't be working anymore because I didn't see any representation of me. And of the people that I saw that do drag, again, this was 10 years ago, they became sex workers, they became prostitutes, they became escorts. Those were the only jobs available to you. And that once you transition, you have to get a day job or go to that route. No more drag for you. I didn't see it on TV. I didn't see it in the circles around me. And even people that claim to be, you know, open-minded now about accepting all types of drag. I remember the conversations that those people would have with me, or in the spaces that we shared, their thoughts about drag was only for gay men. So that's what I thought. And whenever I thought or heard people say, oh my God, this queen is transitioning, whatever, it was always spoke about in a negative way. Oh, she's transitioning and shit. Like, what is that supposed to mean? You know what I mean? Or she's trans and shit. You know, that's not a way to describe someone, right? So I think if the words that were used were a little bit more positive, I think would have impacted me in a better way. So for a long time, I never disclosed that information just to keep doing what I do. But over the years, I'm just like, you know what? If I can be the first one to help someone, let me be it. If I don't get to work, oh well. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned from all of this is just to keep going and keep being you.
Absolutely. No, that is definitely the tea right there. Thank you for sharing that with us. And like one thing that I was thinking, oh, you got some love. I love your, like, what do they call it, light drag looks that you sometimes rock on your show. By the way, Yuhua's show is called Bootleg Opinions. We will not mention the original name of the show because we don't want to be sued, but
we won't be sued.
Bootleg Opinions is a really fabulous show and everybody should watch it. Bootleg Onions, yeah. But anyway, I mean, when you're on your show and you have like less than a full face of makeup, or you rock your natural hair, which, you know, Raja does as well. Is there any backlash from fans or from other queens who say that's not doing drag?
You know what, at this point, I think we're a little bit more open-minded now, but like I said before, 10 years ago, it's about being beauty pageants, right? You know, that was the standards. If you look at the winners from season 1 and 2, you know, Bibi Zahara Benet, and also James, who goes by James now, Tyra Sanchez, who goes by James now. It was very pageantry drag. And then Raja kind of broke that androgyny drag. Sharon Needles broke that spooky drag. And I think that drag has opened up a little bit more now. So I think that as long as you are a hyped up version of who you are, that's fine. You know, who are we to judge? You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge you if you are wearing a different, you know, earring or a different hair. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that I learned from traveling around the world as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let me feel my oats. I definitely agree with you. And I just want to say, as I love your mug always, that whether you put on a lot of makeup or a little bit of makeup, I just think your drag is fantastic and it's where it's at. Everybody needs to like get on the Yuhua train. But
Yeah.
since we're talking about diversity and inclusion, so you are part of a club that is sadly still way too small, and that is Asian drag queens who have competed on RuPaul's Drag Race. So what is with the lack of representation for Asian queens across the board, and what needs to change?
You know what? Wish I could answer, but I don't know. Maybe there's not much out there. I remember there's not much out there when I first started, but I think there's a lot more now. I don't know, honestly. I'm not part of the casting process. I wish I could answer that, but I think that we need more. Yes, we definitely need more. You know, I would love to see different types of drag out there. And I think being an Asian American, you want to see yourself on television. I remember the first time I saw Angina, I was like, I'm rooting for her. I don't know how she's going to do, but I'm rooting for her just because she's Asian. And I think
Fabulous.
that for me, I think most people can relate to as well when they see themselves on television, especially when you're in a minority, you're going to gravitate towards that person. For me, especially, I think it can apply to other minorities out there as well. Is that whenever I see an Asian on television back when I was a kid, it was always in the kung fu movie as a sketch, delivery person, a prostitute, or the geek or the nerd. It was never the hero to come save the world for the main character. It was always the joke of the joke. And for me to see Angina, wow. And I remember seeing Jasmine Trias on American Idol season 3. I was like, I don't care if she's good or bad. I'm rooting for her just because she's Asian.
Hey, no shade,
no
tea, no shade. And frankly, I think that, young queens like River Medway are walking because you all did the crawling. It's something that I really hope to see change, that we see more, not just more Asian queens, but more wide representation of Asian queens. I think in our culture, the word Asian describes this like monolith of what people think, and it's the largest, most populous area of the world. There is so much there. There's so much history for drag queens, for cross-dressing, for gender identity differences, and third genders and fourth genders. I mean, there's just so much there to unpack. So I hope to see more of it.
Definitely. Can I just add one more thing? When most people think of Asians, they think of East Asians, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, but it's a lot more than that. We got the Middle East, that's part of Asia, and also Southeast Asia, India, Bangladesh, all those countries, and also the Turkish countries as well.
Central Asia. Yeah, absolutely.
We can't forget those as well. So we'd love to see more of that.
Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. You're getting lots of love in the chat, by the way.
I'm seeing it.
People are loving. That's true. Raja is Asian. That is very true. That's very true. But in that vein of underrepresented Asian drag performers, many fans sadly aren't even aware that Drag Race Thailand was the very first international Ru franchise. Where else do you hope to see drag conquer the globe or be celebrated?
You mean the franchises?
I just mean drag in general. I mean, like RuPaul's Drag Race made it mainstream, right? It made it mass producible. It showed that you could, it's a capitalist society. Hey, you can make money doing this, and we can merchandise and we can do all these different things. But drag itself, that's an art. That is an art form. It's almost sacred to me. So I would love to see drag become a worldwide phenomenon. Or if it is a worldwide phenomenon, where else is, what's going on elsewhere that we don't know about?
I really want to see it even more mainstream. We say that Drag Race is mainstream now, right? I still don't think it is. Where else do you see drag queens? RuPaul's Drag Race. And then occasionally you'll see a drag queen make a cameo on like a television show for like 2 minutes to 5 minutes. No shade. Even when you watch Andy Cohen's show, where are the drag queens? Standing in the back of the bar, pouring drinks, right? They're not in the front, they're not talking, they're not doing interviews, they're in the back of the bar, making drinks and giving little yes, work, that's it. I would love to see even more mainstream. I want it to be so normalized that we can even be in movies, mainstream movies, television shows. Now, I did a little podcast with this other group, not gonna name names. They were just like, really? You think you can do that? I was like, yeah, why can't we? Heterosexuals are doing it. Why can't we have the same opportunity just because we look a little bit different? That's the same analogy as saying, hey, I'm Asian. I can't have the same opportunity as someone else. I'm queer. I can't have the same opportunity as someone else. I'm from low income and an immigrant. I can't have the same opportunity as someone else. So why can't we as drag performers, queer entertainers, have the same opportunity as them, right? We can be on the big screen. We can fill up a theater. We can do a red carpet. We can be on the radio. Normalize it even more mainstream.
I love it. Yeah, push it forward. I mean, you have people who are kind of blazing the trail like Shangela, who are getting consistent gigs in a lot of different entertainment areas. But I agree. Why am I not seeing that with all of my beloved queens? And there's so many queens whose wonderful drag I haven't even been exposed to yet. So I agree with you that
definitely.
We are calling it mainstream, but it's certainly correct to point out that we still have a long way to go. Okay, so real tea, as many as many people know, Manila Luzon, drag star and 3-time Drag Race contestant, announced in July that she would be doing the first ever Filipino drag show called Drag Den. And then just about 45 days later, World of Wonder announced that there would be a RuPaul's Drag Race Philippines. Is this a happy coincidence or is it just shady?
I don't know, honestly, and I don't really care, to be honest, because no tea, no shade, I don't care because I have nothing to do with it. I'm not getting a check from it. I'm not involved with any of it. So that's the energy that I usually put out. If it's not related to me, I don't care. Even something that they ask me in the workroom is whenever there's a fight on season 10 or if there's any drama, like with the queens, and what do you think of this? I just tell them straight up, don't care, doesn't have to do with me. They can fight all they want, they can slap each other. I don't care, I'm gonna do my thing. So with that being said, going back to the question, I really don't care, honestly. Do I think it's a coincidence? Maybe. Is it not a coincidence? I don't know. But I do know that World of Wonder, that they are willing to put out as many franchises as possible because there's money, they want to take over, and that's cool. You know what I mean? It is a capitalist society that we live in, and they want to be the biggest one out there. So I think it's completely cool that they do it and made the best competition fight it out and win. So without competition, right, up between these two shows, how can we find the best of the best, right? So I think it's good that we have competition out there. And I think also it's good that we can also see different types of ways that it can be judged aside from the Drag Race rules, set of rules. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really fantastic answer to a shady question. So
baby, I come from the pageant scene, honey. You can't get any tea from me, baby. I'll give you what you want, but then I'll say it all nicely. And then world peace, okay?
I know that's right. We just got a shout out to the House of Draw in the comments.
Draw, mama, yes. Hi, Katie. Hey, Stacy.
So
hey, John.
Katie is my sister who put me onto Drag Race about 10 years ago, and she is the biggest Drag Race and drag in general consumer I have ever met. She watches drag videos 24/7. So we're so glad to have you here with us, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for being part of the family.
Thank you. And as we said before, Drag Race was just your stepping stone. So what other work are you well known for? What's on your resume?
Like I said before, we've always made cameos as drag performers before Drag Race, especially as someone in the club, like a cameo. So I've done, here's the list for the television stuff. So I've done Blue Bloods. I was in the same episode as Jinx Monsoon, Peppermint, Mimi I'm First. I don't know if you've seen that episode. And what else? The Mysteries of Lore, that was with Pandora. We had a little cameo in there. A Pandora box from season 2 and All Stars. What else is out there? The Carrie Diaries. On season 2. Who else is there that I think you might know? Milan, Scarlet Envy. We were on Saturday Night Live, Katy Perry, and that was with Vivacious, Scarlet Envy, Berta Filter, and India Moore from Pose. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Pose, but yeah, beautiful.
We love Pose in my household, so we live, work, Pose. We live for Pose.
Before that was pageants and whatnot, but now
I honestly, I'm such a New York City girl that I'm just like, yep, just lavish all the praise on our subcultures, changing the world for the children. No big deal. So as I've watched your drag grow and change so much from the time that you were on season 10 until now, and you are stunting. What has influenced your fashion journey?
What has influenced my journey? Honestly, like I said before, I thought I was open-minded already. I thought I knew what drag was. Again, traveling the world, seeing all types of drag has shaped me to what I am today. Literally, like to the less dramatic makeup, sometimes even a bigger makeup, sometimes the big hair, sometimes the colorful hair. I mean, something like this, darling, like a purple wig, you would not see me wear this 4 years ago. You would not. This much heavy blush, glitter, you would not see me wear this at all 5 years ago. Non-binary, no breast queen, 7 years ago, you would not see this. So I think it's continuing to change. You know, something that I've heard as well, I was watching YouTube videos, is that smart people know that they don't know everything. And dumb people, not the word dumb, not so smart people think that they know everything, right? And I will say that I don't know everything. I'm still discovering myself. I'm still learning.
That's and she's a humble queen, honey. So I can just tell you that in my household, when we're watching Drag Race, we are already talking about, oh, Yuhua is going to clock this, or Yuhua is she's going to suggest something else. Or we honestly, to us, you have the keenest drag fashion eye, and your word is bond to us. So we appreciate
thank you. Going back to that, like, you know, over the years of doing Bootleg Opinions, even my thoughts about drag on what the queens should or should not do have changed, because drag is consistently changing, right? From season 1 of Drag Race, before Drag Race, to now, it's consistently changing. So I think we just have to roll with the punches and go with the way that the drag trend is going. You know, I think that's sometimes what it's missing on Drag Races too, is that Ru and the judges, they're so stuck in the, you know, old times of what drag is, that they don't understand that drag has changed so much, you know.
Yeah, and we'll change even further, hopefully, you know, it to be more inclusive, more radical, more out there, and a bigger part of our daily American lives.
Right.
Speaking of looks, I tried to pick what I would consider to be your most iconic look, and it's very challenging. So there was your Drag on a Dime look with the Ankh. Everyone loves that look. There was your reunion homage to the ring, which is my husband's favorite. And of course, your epic thworp for your finale look. When you held up that big fan, we were all living and dying at the same time. To be honest, my most favorite looks of yours recently are the ones that I've been seeing in the past year on YouTube and Instagram. What would you say is your most iconic look, or what is the new Yuhua iconic look?
The new iconic look, it's hard to say, because right now, since the pandemic, one thing that I've been really doing, I don't know if you can tell on social media, is playing with all types of makeup and colors. I didn't really get to do that before the pandemic. You know, doing drag in New York City before Drag Race, I would do 4 to 5 nights a week, and I didn't really have time to do nude faces and stuff like that, because I know this is what works in this light setting. I know that this is what works in this bar. I know that this bar, they don't want to see this type of makeup or this type of look. So I would do the same face for years and years and years. And even I got on Drag Race, it was like hotel, airplane, like Lady Gaga said, another club with lack of sleep. I was like, let me do the phase that I know that I can do in the fastest amount of time in the dressing room with like one light bulb, right? So since the pandemic, I realized that, well, I don't really have that much money. I don't have resources to fabric, but what I do have is my set of hands, and I can draw whatever I want on my face, use whatever shape and color I want with my hands, and make it work. So that's what I've been doing over the past year and a half.
I dig it.
What you have. What?
I dig it a lot. I love like the color on color, like that Gaga Doja Cat eye with like the big chunky glitter on the what does La Gaga call it? The decolletage. It's called the decolletage. Or what does she call it?
I don't know.
Oh, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I'm so glad that you share it with the world. And you are a professional seamstress. So how did you learn to sew, and how important is it to know how to sew if you want to do drag?
So I learned it as a kid from my mother, and I think it's important to at least know something about Drag Race. not drag race, about drag sewing. Because it's one of the requirements, it's gonna come up. You're gonna need to know how to sew. It's like me going onto Drag Race. All right, you guys, time to lip sync for your life. And I just stand there. Sorry, I don't lip sync. That's not what I do. You gotta know how to at least make a pattern, some skills, and even hot gluing. You need to know at least some basics to do it. Or it's like when a group challenge comes up, there's a dancing choreography going on, and I say to my teammates, sorry, that's not what I do. I don't dance. And then they gotta make it work for me. No, you gotta need to know a little bit of everything before going on. I mean, it's been what, 13 seasons, and plus many franchises and seasons that I think you need to know somewhat, you know. Do I think it's important to know afterwards or as a drag queen? Not necessarily, but it does help when you're on the show.
Yeah, especially because I mean that's the whole concept of bootleg queen, right? Is that you're not gonna. It would be nice if you had all that coin to support local designers and this and that. And sure, there's special occasions and things like that, but for the most part, it's about like what you can put together. And if you have the sense for to proportionize, to make sure that silhouette is right. And
definitely just be the best version of you. You know, we're not looking for the best outfit who spends the most money. Just be the best version of you, and that's really care. But I think it's gotten to a point that if you want to win RuPaul's Drag Race, may the best bank account win. Right? Who can spend the most money? You know, who can spend the most money? That's what it really is.
Yeah, especially when you get to the all-star level where they're like, you're on all-stars, so now you got to be stoned for the gods and da-da-da-da-da. So
I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Now you have such an expert eye when it comes to fashion, so much so that you started your own cult following with your Bootleg Opinions show on YouTube. I will not say the formerly known as name, but please spill the hot tea. How did that all go down? You went from that one show and then you had a couple of videos and then you were back and it was like, oh, we're now Bootleg Opinions.
I think I wanted to separate myself from the original show. I wanted to do my own thing. Like for me personally, I just wanted to do my own thing and I just want to branch out. I just don't want to be like another division of them, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wanted to do my own thing. That's how it came about. And I've always enjoyed doing my own thing, even when I'm booking my guests right now, even when I'm working right now. I don't have a manager. I don't have a PR person. I don't have a merch person. I don't have an assistant. I had them before after Drag Race because everybody told me that I had to get one and they all want to work for me, but everybody just wanted a piece of the cake and, want a percentage. But they did nothing. So after a few months, I fired everybody and I've been doing everything myself. So, and I think I like to be very hands-on on everything as well. So that's why I kind of branched off to do my own thing so that I don't have to do and follow what they do. You know what I mean? I can just do what works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a fantastic role model to provide for any young people out there. I mean, to me, that's like the millennial businesswoman, right? Is the modern, you're a Renaissance woman, you're involved with the arts, you're humble, you're kind, you give back to the community, you do your own thing, you blaze your own trail. You don't need to be, somebody's attaché or anything like that. So I just love that attitude on you. It looks good. Now, during COVID, you have been an enthusiastic advocate for pandemic drag. How has
pandemic drag? You have to say it like that. Drag.
It's like I feel like
nobody saw that.
I like that. Of course we didn't. What are you talking about? But yeah,
I just raised my eyebrows, so my forehead lifted up the wig. I was raising my eyebrows, so my hairline went up a little bit.
Or you could just Roxy Andrews it or Katya snatched and just have another wig under there. So, but yeah, how have drag performers been adapting to this new normal?
I think I've been the most happiest I've ever been work-wise. Before Drag Race, I was working a lot, but again, like I said before, it was just like club, another club, another club. Like, I mean, imagine you going, not you particularly, but anybody watching, you going to do the same thing over and over again. It gets boring. It gets so repetitive that you're like, what am I doing with my life? So when I got on Drag Race, I was like, wow, this is kind of fun. But then after a year and a half of that, I was like, I'm doing the same thing that I was doing a year and a half ago. And I've always wanted to act. I've always wanted to do videos. I've always wanted to do behind the scenes as well. And now I'm able to do that with my YouTube, with my Instagram stuff, with the content that I produce. Very luckily, very blessed to say that for the past year, I think without reaching out to people, people have been emailing me for work, you know what I mean, to work with me. And whereas before Drag Race, I was, working the same stuff over and over again to do the same thing over again. But then during Drag Race, I had to reach out to people to get work. So I think I've been the most happiest I've ever been. And adapting to the new way of drag. I don't think it was much more of an adaptation. I think it was just moving towards the direction that I wanted to be in, rather than adapting. I think I was also very lucky enough that I was doing virtual stuff prior to the pandemic that I easily transitioned.
So you had an established brand essentially. So
yeah, I mean, I wasn't making money before the pandemic from my contents and stuff. You know what I mean? I think with any stuff that you want to do, again, like I said before, it comes with preparation, skill, with a little bit of luck. And I think that, for 2 years, we didn't make any money. I put in my own money. I paid the guests my own money. I Ubered them. I paid them their food and whatnot. But I think that 2 years of, what's the word? Fruition is the word I'm looking for. It became a tree of fruits.
Fruition. Yes.
Fruition. So I think a little bit of advice for anybody out there, don't give up, keep going. Nothing comes in a day, just keep going. I mean,
that's right.
We did it.
Legacies are not built overnight.
Yeah, I mean, remember, I don't know if y'all seen early videos about, backgrounds, our lighting systems, our sounds. It's terrible. We've came a long way. So if I can do it, if the bootleg queen can do it, so can you, baby, so can you. So reach for the stars.
Well, we will be reaching for you because you are a star. And yes, as I was telling Yuhua before the interview started, I learned so much because libraries also had to pivot very quickly during the pandemic and go virtual. And so I got tips on what to do by watching your show and how you started to improve things. And then you added your ring light, you changed your background. I was like, okay, she knows what's up. I'm going to emulate what she's doing because she's a success.
I think we can always, like I said, improve ourselves, right? And nobody's going to tell you what to do in life. Nobody's going to tell you what you need to work on. They're going to complain to you what they don't like about you, but they're not going to tell you what you need to improve on. So it's up to you to improve yourself. It's up to you to get out of bed and do that thing. So I think, improving from my older stuff to where I am now and gradually changing stuff and updating, continuing to learn and stuff, I think that we can all learn a little bit from this is just, again, to keep going and keep growing. Nobody's going to tell you to do this except you. Nobody's going to tell you to get up and go for that dream except you.
Or me. I will tell you to get up and go for that dream, Yuhua Hamasaki.
I pulled out a light bulb, like when you have like a bling and an idea.
Yes.
And also I was going to say, I'm not a star. I'm a bootleg queen. I'm not a star. I'm a bulb. Get it? It still shines, but like just a little bit.
I think
it still shines, but just a little bit.
No one can take your shine off of you, babe. That's not going to happen.
Thank you.
I believe during lockdown, you did a virtual drag queen story time for young children in honor of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is so fabulous. How did that come about?
I've been doing it with them for about 2 years now. I would say about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years is something that I really do enjoy doing. Like I said before, 10, 15 years ago, not much support for people out there. So I want to be part of that growing process for young children out there. And also families are not part of the traditional family, which is, a man, a woman, that all types of families are welcomed and all types of families are valid. We often talk about children growing up as LGBTQ, but we never really talk about parents that are in same-sex marriages or non-traditional families. So I think I I really do want to be part of that growing process and educating people that you are welcomed, you are valid. If me, Yuhua Hamasaki, can look like this, be crazy, be this bootleg, be this local, can make it and be confident and happy and brave in who I am, so can you. You'll be fine in this world. You'll be fine.
That is fantastic. As a librarian, story times are near and dear to me. And we all know the power of sharing a book where somebody sees themselves or somebody sees a window into the lives of others so that they can build empathy and take care of one another.
Also, it creates representation, you know what I mean? If they see me, they don't think to themselves, wow, she's doing her thing. She can teach. I'll be fine. You know what I mean? And also it teaches children to be a little bit more open-minded as well. And I think when you're a little bit more open-minded, you're gonna walk out into this world even 5-10 steps ahead of your other peers out there. You know what I mean? Often we also get some, we get a lot of straight families as well, you know, who want to teach their kids to be a little bit more open-minded. Straight parents come with their kids and, you know, guardians and whatnot. And I think that's really special when that happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Our library system has hosted a couple of drag events. Like we have an annual drag queen virtual happy hour with interactive games like trivia or bingo that have even made some of the local queer news, like The Blade, with the help of local queens like Emerald Star. Why do you think that it's important for drag queens to work with libraries?
Oh, it's a growing process. Like I said before, you want to show children that they matter, that they're represented. You know, I think oftentimes we teach children that this is X, Y, and Z, and you must follow this X, Y, and Z book. But it's not the case. It's a case-by-case scenario, especially with people that come from queer families, right? You might have 2 dads, you might have 2 moms, or you might just have a single family as a parent. So I think it teaches children that diversity is key in this world.
Yep, it's a strength. It is absolutely
a strength, you know.
So
and I especially love. Oh, sorry.
No. Please tell me what you love.
I especially love when I see children with their families. You know, it's, their parents are same sex and they're so proud of it. And the kid, it's, you know, they don't know their sexual orientation or their gender yet, or they're just still discovering, and they're so proud of their parents for being who they are. That really melts at my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of really great children's books that just talk about all different types of families. It is just so important for children, even in board books for babies, that they see that this is a part of our culture. This is an amazing part of the fabric of what we do.
Definitely.
Now I'm going to ask Yuhua another question or two, but I know that we are winding down. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm sure Yuhua would be delighted to answer all of your burning inquiries.
And if we go over, I don't mind. I'm having a great time.
Okay, that's what's up.
Let's chat, baby. Unless they have to go or you have to go.
I just had to have one person stay with me in the branch, but thank you. So you are well known for your charity work and your generous support of other queens. And recently, your efforts raised over $25,000 for your friend Laganja Estranja to aid in her transition journey when she came out as trans this past summer. Now even more money has been raised and it's going to other trans people in need, which is amazing. What has this experience been like? And did you ever imagine that this would become so incredibly huge and successful?
I didn't. Yes and no, I guess. I thought to myself, well, you know, we are who we are, right? Maybe we'll raise $10,000 because I think like Bootleg Opinions, you know, we're a small little thing. We're not a big platform. We are a platform, but not as big as like other platforms. I don't really have that much of a big following anyway, but I've learned that when there's love, a community really come together. And I think that it really surprised me when we raised over $25,000 in under 48 hours. I was like, wow, that really did happen. And I thought when I was, you know, doing the video with her, I was just like, here, girl, here's your money, go take it. Let's keep going with the looks. She started crying.
I know.
Emotions. Oh my God, there's so much editing to do with the video now. And then I think the fans and the viewers' response was very overwhelming and very positive that I didn't expect it as well. Because for me personally, it was just like, oh, let's do something for her because she's, you know, been part of the Bootleg family for a while now. But I think it had a much more impact than I was expecting.
Wonderful. I'm just looking at some of the questions coming in the chat. So first from our own Rachel Troyanos, Yuhua, why are you so pretty?
Why am I so pretty? It's makeup, baby. Baby, it's Maybelline. Thank you, Rachel. You're gorgeous too. I love your wall color.
Our building designer will be very happy to hear that. So Stacy has a burning inquiry. Why are you so iconic? Like, why? How did you become an icon?
Why am I an icon? I don't know. I think just being yourself. Like I said, I know it's supposed to be a joking question, but I'm gonna answer it seriously. I know that, how do you be an icon, right? How do you be yourself? It's just to be you. It's just that simple. Just be you. Whether if you want to get up, get up. If you want to go read a book, go read a book. If you want to fart, fart. If you want to hang out with this friend, go hang out with this friend. If you don't want to do this thing, don't do it. Just be you.
Oops, I almost I didn't quite unmute myself. So Jet Black asks, do you remember what was the first song you performed to? What was it?
I do remember it. The first song that I performed to as a group was Later Marmalade. I was Maya because I was new at the time, so they gave me the most simple 3-line ever. And this first song I ever performed to solo was Gwen Stefani's "What You Waiting For." I performed that.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very special. I still remember the words.
I love that. Before we all say goodbye tonight, I just want to remind you, as Yuhua always says, where can we find you, my love? So Yuhua has her own website, yuhuahamasaki.com. She is Yuhua Hamasaki on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and yes, please follow her on YouTube. Subscribe to her channel.
And turn that bell notification on, as they say on YouTube. I just typed it into the chat if y'all have a little difficulty with the spelling. All right, it's there. So yeah, come follow for some glitter and fabulosity. Jet Black says, don't forget Patreon.
Oh, yes, yes. And she has a Patreon. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. So I see that we have one last question from John, and that is, reading is fundamental. Are there any books that you recommend I can read with or to my nieces and nephews? And nibblings, for anybody who has nibblings out there.
I can type that in. Julian is a Mermaid. I read that all the time.
By
by
Jessica Love.
And the book, I'm typing it in, it's not coming up on my thing. Is it coming up in the chat? Or no? Neither.
Nope, I see it.
Okay, another book is called Neither. Another one is called Prince and Knight. I don't know if you know that one. Not many people do. Another one is Where's Spot? And I'm looking over there because I have the books over there.
Work.
Another one is
She has a library, honey.
friendly. I do. Sparkle Boy is another one.
Sparkle Boy is so great.
How old is your niece, if you don't mind me asking?
John, you're welcome to unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
He got the tea and he left, girl.
Okay, my niece is 3 and my nephew is 6. Okay, so perfect ages to be reading these beautiful picture books that have great representation.
Yeah.
I'd also recommend Red, A Crayon Story. Oh, the family.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Red, A Crayon Story.
Oh, yes, Red, A Crayon Story. Type that in.
Thank you.
I even put in the colon, so you know that I actually know that book, because most people think it's red, comma, but it's red, colon.
You have a little librarian in you, clearly. I mean, you have a library in your crib, and your reader's advisory is spot on.
Oh, definitely. Also Mabel, I typed that in my Mabel. That's a good one too.
Awesome. So what, in the last moment or two that we have, what is next for Yuhua Hamasaki?
Well, I filmed a little thing for a streaming service. I'm not gonna say what it is. That should be coming out in a few months. I'm really excited about that. And what else is next? Well, I had some auditions that I got rejected. What else is next? Well, more Bootleg Opinions. And what else is next? That's it for the Bootleg Queen.
I look forward.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but I promise you, it's a lot.
Oh no, that's a lot.
I don't know what else to say. You know, I guess just the only thing for us, especially drag performers, is just to keep following us. You know what I mean? It's a week by week basis. But those are the big things that I can think off the top of my head.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a full plate, and I have no doubt that you'll be able to carry it. I can't wait to see the wonderful things that you're going to do next. You should know that your fans and the people who tune in to see what you have to say are so appreciative of you. We admire you so much. And I just want
Aw,
you to
thank
know
you.
how important you are in so many people's lives.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuhua, for being here. If anybody is interested in learning more about Yuhua, she will be featured, I believe, next week on our virtual teen program for LGBTQ plus teens called Up and Out. We'll dive a little bit more into how she catapulted herself into YouTube stardom. But look at her, everybody. She is gorgeous. Look at her.
Look at her.
This has been an absolute delight. We are so fortunate at Prince George's County Memorial Library System to have a celebrity queen, an icon, and an activist and a leader like yourself, Yuhua. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. And find more events on pgcmls.info/events. Thank you, everyone. Good.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone. Have a good night. Bye. Great time.
I'm gonna pause the recording.